Right, guys, let's get started. So this talk is about introduction to Motoko, but in fact, it's a lie. It's about introduction to internet computer development. So what I'm going to explain is that there are different parts, different things you need to know. It's not only about Motoko. You have other tools. You need to combine everything together to be able to create like a real project. So we will start with Motoko. So the objectives of today are to get familiar with like the vocabulary you're going to use this week, and basically having an overview of what you need to learn. So first, Motoko. What is Motoko? So Motoko is a language that was developed by the Definity Foundation, I think 2 years ago. We've all been airdropped some Motoko for the 2-year anniversary of Motoko. Here you have like a fan art draw of Motoko that was done by our artists. And on the right, you have the less sexy part of Motoko, which is the actual code. And we are going to explain what is an actor, what is a function, what does async mean, and all those strange symbols. So Motoko is not the only language to develop on the IC. You can also use another language called Rust, but Motoko is more accessible for beginners. That's the main selling point of Motoko. And also because it was developed especially for the internet computer, a lot of concepts of the language are, a lot of concepts of the internet computer are natively integrated into the language. So it is really nice. What is a canister? So a canister, to put it short, it's like a smart contract on Ethereum, if you are familiar with that, but it's 10 times better. Basically, a canister stores some variables and can execute some code. You can access a canister through an interface, and this interface has different functions that you can call. So for example, if you have a canister that deals with an NFT project, you will have a mint function that you can access, a transfer function that you can access, a balance function that you can access. That's a canister. More technically, a canister is running a WebAssembly module. So that's what you can see. You've probably already seen the image on the left. It's a representation of the internet computer. And you can see small buckets. Those are the canisters. And inside the canister, you have WebAssembly module. So WebAssembly is it's an advanced topic, but basically it's a low-level language. So it's a language that is really close to binary, to machine code. And that's actually what is running on the internet computer. So when we develop with Motoko, actually the canisters on the internet computer doesn't run Motoko. We use Motoko to create our code because it's a language that is accessible for humans. You could write WebAssembly if you want to, but it's not really practical for any normal person. And once the Motoko code is ready, you compile it to WebAssembly, and you have a WebAssembly module that you deploy on the IC. And that's what you can see on the right. I've taken a screenshot of one project, and you have the DFX folder. Inside the DFX folder, you have the local folder, which means that this project was deployed on the local replica, not on the real internet computer. Then you have the canisters, and this specific canister called boot has a few files, and you can see the WebAssembly module here. And all the other files, I will explain what are their purpose, how you can read them, and how you can use them. So that's it for a canister, I think. The next topic is DFX. So you've probably already used it if you are here. DFX is a command line tool. So you need to use the terminal to use it. And basically, it's the tool you're going to use to develop on the internet computer. So if you want to deploy a canister, you need to use DFX. If you want to build the code for a canister, you need to use DFX. If you want to talk to a canister, you can do it through DFX as well. So one command that is really useful is to check the version of DFX. So DFX with this flag it's called a flag, DFX version. And then you have the version that is printed. So I'm not using the latest one, I'm using this one. So with DFX, you can also create what is called a template project. you just need to run the command dfx new and the name of your project. So for example, dfx new welcome will create a welcome project. And in the template project, you have a lot of files that are already ready for you. You can take a look. And this template project is really useful because you can look at what people have created for you and use it as an example to start a new project. Also, I will do some code after this presentation. But in the template project, there is a file called dfx.json. And this file is a configuration file for dfx. So when you run, like, for example, if you try to deploy a canister, dfx will go into this configuration file and we check like what is the type of the canister. So is it like a Motoko canister or maybe a front-end canister? Where is the file located? So I can build the code. This configuration file is really useful to configure the working of dfx. Okay, so what is Candid? So you're going to hear about Candid. It's an important topic. If we go back to this picture, the one on the right, you can see that we have 3 files with an extension .dig. And those files are Candid files. So this one is the pure Candid. The first one, the day is the pure Candid. The day.d.ts is a transcription of the Candid file to a language called TypeScript. And the last one is a transcription of the Candid file to JavaScript. Candid is basically the language of the internet computer. So many developers, as you can see on the right picture, can develop using like Motoko or Rust, but they need a way to talk to each other. Otherwise, if we delete Candid, if there was no Candid, we wouldn't be able to talk using Motoko to a Rust canister and the other way around, which would be really bad, of course. So Candid is the language of the internet computer, and it's used to describe interface. So that's on the top, you can see an example of what would be a basic canister. It's a service counter. So it's a counter, it's like a calculator. You can add, you can subtract, you can get the value, and you can subscribe. Every time you have an interface, you have the type of the parameters and the type of what is returned. So here, for example, for the add functionality, the type of the parameter is not, and the return value is null. So it's just nothing, but it will return. Yeah, Candid has other advantages as well that I won't discuss, but there will be a lecture dedicated on Candid from the Definitive Foundation, so stay updated on that. Okay, so now the tricky part, I will try to code with you. So I'm opening my terminal and I will run a command to create a project. So for example, dfx new Motoko, and it's creating a project for me. So you need to wait a bit. So what we're going to do is to go through all the files and trying to understand like what is the meaning of this file and what is it used for. Okay, so once the project is created, I can move into, and then I use this command to open VS Code. Okay, so we have different folders. The most important one is the source folder. We have all the file that actually compose the code of your project. We can see the configuration file, which is here. We have the git ignore file, which is a file that tells Git, which is the service you're using to like publish your code on GitHub. It's basically telling Git what files to ignore. So okay, for example, the node module file, this one, it's a lot of dependency that you don't need to look into. Basically, you can ignore this folder. And we don't want to commit that to GitHub. It would be too much files. We don't need them. So basically, this file is saying to Git, don't bother about this folder. You have the README. The README is just a textual file to explain what your project is about. Here it's already populated with the default text. Those two files, I won't talk about it right now. I will talk about it later. And this file, it's called Webpack. It's a bundler. It's please don't look at it when you're beginning. Basically, it's a configuration file again that is used to. You have a lot of different components to put together to create like a final project. And basically, this file is what is going to do all this work for you. So like taking this file, putting it here, moving everything together, all the dependencies and everything. So don't look at it for now. It's not really important. It's just configuration. There is nothing too really important in there. So let's go into the source folder, which is the most important one for us. We can see that we have two folders, which represents the two canisters. So I've seen on the Discord that a lot of people were confused about that. For the template project, you have two canisters. So the first one is it's called Motoko here. It only contains Motoko code. So just this basic function. And the other one is a bit more, it's not more complex, but it's different. You have another source folder and assets. So assets are images, text, and CSS. CSS is used to basically customize your page, your web page. And you have the source. And inside the source, you have a HTML file, which is used to create the web page. That is the language that you will use if you need to create a web page. It's not specific to the internet computer. It's something very general. And you have the JavaScript, which is used to add interactivity to the web page. So with that, let's dive into the Motoko file, which is the best one. So the first word is actor. It's a word that you will find on top of all Motoko files that describes a canister. So basically, you can think of actor and canister as the same thing in Motoko. It's basically actor is how Motoko represents a canister. You need to put it at the beginning of each files, and that's you can put all the rest of your code inside. Or maybe you don't see my screen that much. I will zoom. Let me. Okay, yeah, that was the problem. Okay, so yeah, so actor and all the rest of the code is inside the brackets. So we have one function here. The first one is public. It means the function is public. So the function is public, yes. It means anyone from the outside world of this actor can call it. It can be DevX, it can be a user, it can be another canister. Anyone can call it because it's public. You can create other function, which would be private, and those functions can only be called within the canister. So if I create a function like private func greet secret, for example, that takes a name and returns some text, and let's say it returns just the name. Let's just return the name. This function cannot be called from the outside, but it could be called from, for example, inside this function. It could be called anywhere else in the actor. Okay, so maybe some of you, if you are really, really beginning, you don't know exactly what a function is. A function takes something and returns something else. It's as simple as that. So here, this function, it's called greet, and it takes a name and it returns something which is of type async text. So I will explain that later. Don't worry for the moment. Okay, so here you have the name of the argument and you have the type. In Motoko, when you have the column, the column like that, it's to describe the type of the variable. Each variable has a type. It can be text, it can be a number, it can be a Boolean, if you are familiar with that. It can be an array, it can be anything. We have many types in Motoko. And Motoko is a type language, so every time you create a variable, it will remember what the type of this variable is. And then you have the function in itself, so the body of the function, and it just returns this piece of text. So we could put some parentheses here to make it clearer, but it's going to return a text, hello. This is used to concatenate two pieces of text together. So hello with the name as an argument, and that's it. So we can check that. Maybe we can start a replica. Okay, so I think I've already something that is running on the background. Sorry. I don't know where it is, though. Yeah. Okay. Let me just be radical about that. Okay. Yeah, I often run into this issue. Let me, sorry for that. I think. Yeah, just 2 minutes. I don't know why it's doing that. I think I thought I had fixed these issues, but it's back. Let's try another part. Yes. Try this one. Okay, thanks. Okay, so here I had an issue because I had already a replica running somewhere on my computer. I have no idea where. So I've just changed basically the address where the replica is located. So here in the FX, I can see that the replica is running. It's listening at this address and a bunch of other informations that we don't really care about for the moment. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just deploy locally the canister. So for that, I can run this command. So dfx deploy boot. No, that's not the name of the canister we wanted to deploy. dfx deploy Motoko. So dfx deploy Motoko will deploy this canister, which is called Motoko. You can see here, it's called Motoko, and the main file is in source, Motoko main.mo. So here, it's this file. That's the one I've been talking about. So let's deploy it. Okay, so it's creating my canister. It's giving me a canister ID. And now I can use the FX to interact with this canister. So what I'm going to do is the FX canister call grid, called Motoko grid. And let's say everyone. Okay. So again, I've told that you can talk to a canister using the FX. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So the FX canister call Motoko. Motoko is the name of the canister we are trying to call, and grid is the function we are trying to call. So this one, and then you pass the arguments. You have to put those parentheses and those marks because that's the format of the arguments. And then we get the answer. So the answer is hello everyone, like we can see here. I wanted to explain the async keyword. So the async keyword basically means that we need to wait for the argument to come. If we just say text, it means that the person calling the function will expect the result to be immediate. But a canister cannot guarantee an immediate answer. If you are a canister, let's imagine you are a canister on the internet computer. It means that anyone can call you at any point in time. And if someone calls you at one point, maybe you're doing something else. Maybe you're already processing another answer. So you need to say to the person calling you, okay, you need to await. I will answer to your request later, and then you will get the answer. And that's why we need this async keyword. If you are a bit confused by that, just remember that for the moment, if you have an actor declaration and you write a public function, you need this async keyword for the return arguments. So it will be everywhere in every public function. Okay, I think that's all. I wanted to just present like what is a canister and what is the FX. I can also show you some useful commands because you're going to use the FX a lot. So if you are lost, just run the FX help. Maybe I can put it bigger like that. The FX help will basically tell you what you can do, what are the possibilities. So you can see all the commands, the FX build, the FX canister, the FX identity, everything is explained. You have a nice message to read that explains basically everything. And you can combine a command with the FX help. So let's say I want to know more about canister, then I can run this command. And it will explain like, yeah, no, I don't think it works for this one. See, yes, it did work. So you have the subcommand. So those are the commands you can run after the FX canister. So the FX canister call, the FX canister create. When in doubt, run the FX help and just read the instructions because everything is explained. Okay, we can switch to the questions if someone has a question. Okay, so I need to. I'm not sure I can see the questions. If you have any question, make sure to raise your hand and maybe write it in the general chat because I have access to the general chat. Yeah, so. Yeah, okay, so I've seen a question, all public functions need to be async. Yes, except if you are in a module, you can remove the async keyword, but for the moment, if you have a public function, just put async. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I cannot see the ends that are raised.
Hey, I can help you out with that.
Yeah, would appreciate.
All right. Naz, I just allowed you to talk. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Naz, N-A-S. See, you're unmuted. Are you talking? We can't hear you. All right, I'm going to move on. Dan Kimball, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, my question was really regarding this async quality too. It seems like this is like an identifier that qualifies that parameter for public. That async is kind of unique to this environment for me. I mean, I'm a longtime programmer, but this async thing is required in order to allow communication between canisters. Yet inside of, I'm just trying to explain how I'm thinking about it. So inside the canister, the async function is not required because it's local to the canister, and the canister can control the receipt of the return. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. I think you're thinking about it in the right way. Basically, a canister can only do one thing at a time. And it can be called from everything else on the internet computer. So if you call the greet function and the canister is doing something else, maybe the canister cannot answer right away. So it's this async keyword is used to describe the return type of the variable and saying that you need to await to get the result. So
it's a message then. It's a message then to other canisters that are calling this saying, hey, you have to wait because I'm busy with things and I will get back to you with the text type as a result of the function call.
I'm using the analogy, like saying I'm saying that the canister is busy, but maybe the canister is not busy. That's not really the point. What I'm saying is that there is a model of communication between canisters, and they don't talk with direct message. They use what is called asynchronous communication. So async goes with the await keyword. So if you ask something to another canister, you need to await the answer. The answer is not immediate. Whereas if you are inside, like your code, you are a canister and you called one of your function, you know that you don't have to wait. Like you can go and just continue running the code, you know. But I didn't want it to dive too much into the theory of that, but basically the canisters on the internet computer are using what's called the actor model. And the actor model is using asynchronous communication. And that's why you have this async keyword everywhere for public function. Is it clear?
Yeah, that's very good. Very helpful. I think that the areas, I mean, a lot of us, I presume, at least in the intermediate category, are familiar with a lot of the code, but we're more interested in the things that makes the Dfinity environment unique, and this is one of those. I just wanted to, yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Okay, I think I just understood the question I asked now. But in the documentation, I think like after installing like the old project, like the DFX create Motoko after creating a new project, right? To run the project, are we going to use DFX start or we're going to deploy first?
Okay, so you need to run DFX start first if you don't have the replica already running on your machine. So DFX deploy, so do you still see my screen? I hope. DFX deploy, you can add a flag, which is this one, network IC, and it will deploy on the internet computer. So in that case, you don't necessarily need to create the local replica first. But here I'm just deploying locally. I'm not deploying on the internet computer. So I need to run this command, dfx start. This command will start a replica on my machine. This replica is basically a copy of the internet computer, but it's running on my my machine. And that's where I can deploy. And you don't need to pay because that's on your machine. And it's basically, if you are going to test, just for practice, you use the local replica. If you want a real production project, use DFX deploy network IC. But here it's
all right, cool.
Is it
cool?
Is it
Because
okay?
when I ran the FX start here, it's opened it's opened on my local port 8000, and it said, let me get the error for you here. It's I got the error of could not find a canister ID to forward to.
When you run
So
DFX,
that was
The FX starts?
Yeah, the FX start. Yeah, on my project. Yeah, on just a new project. So when I ran it, it said could not find a canister ID to deploy to. So that was what I was asking. Probably are we to deploy the canister first before starting it?
No.
Because immediately I ran the FX start, it
uh,
gave me an error. It didn't load.
Are you in a project? Like, are you inside the project? For example, if I'm
Hey.
moving, yeah, it's not. Maybe we should move
Yeah,
on.
I'm inside the project now.
Yeah. Hey, let's not do troubleshooting.
Yeah,
this is Q&A. You have the GitHub discussions area, and troubleshooting requires sharing like your error codes and images and your sharing text. That's for the dev mentorship sessions. Let's keep it to just questions. For now.
I will make sure to answer your question, but not in this lecture.
All right, Sarah Natavaral.
So my question is, personally, I use Windows as my operating system, and VSL is both new and kind of complicated to me, as in like file placements. And I want to ask, is this Motoko file that's we're going to be coding in, like the main.mo, is created if we open it on an IDE, or do we have to create it manually?
Okay, so I'm not sure to get the question. Basically, what I've done is that I've run this command, defx new, with the name of the project, Motoko, and it created all those files for me. So I didn't create any of that. It did it for me. And then after running the Motoko command, I use this command, change directory Motoko. So this command is something really useful that you need to learn about. It means that I will move inside the Motoko folder. So yeah, I will just sorry. Here I am in my home directory, and with this command I move to the Motoko folder, and in the Motoko folder I have all those files. And then, yeah, sorry, maybe that was a bit confusing. I've run this command. It's a command from Visual Studio Code that basically opens the IDE for me, the VS Code for me. But I could totally have opened VS Code another way and just loaded the file with, for example, file, open folder, things like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'd recommend anybody who's not familiar with the terminal to Google navigating the file tree with the terminal. And it shows there's like 4 commands you got to memorize, and it'll help you navigate.
Yeah, you have a few commands, like this command will show you all the folders, and this command will create a folder for you. You have everything on the internet. It's basic terminal commands.
All right, Kay, you're able to speak.
Hey, that's me. Thanks for doing this, Seb. What I initially saw is when you did the you linked the file into the GitHub file into the VSC Studio. I didn't have that downloaded, so I missed the very first thing that you did. So I was downloading the Visual Studio Code, and then how do we link the document? I think it's that GitHub file you're using into the VSC terminal. I missed that part.
Sorry, I don't think I understand the question.
So as he said, the command dfx new and then the name of a file generated all of these files. He's not pulling anything from GitHub here.
Okay.
Yeah.
It creates them on your computer.
So
that's what dfx does.
And it automatically puts it into the Visual Studio Code.
Actually, Visual Studio Code doesn't you don't need to put the files inside VS Code. VS Code is just looking at what's inside your computer and showing it in a way that you can write on it and access the code basically. But VS Code is not like you don't need to take the file and put the file into VS Code. VS Code is looking at what's inside your computer, and basically I'm looking at my Motoko folder here.
Yeah, I got you. So it's just more, basically it's more visually pleasing
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
exactly. Exactly.
didn't have to use it if you didn't. If you
Yeah,
didn't want
you can totally like just open the file, like just like open the main.mo file with a Word or anything else and just write in it. But I mean, no one is doing that because that's less convenient.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Thank you.
All right, Height 2, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, thank you. So I have a question about the Candid. I'm not understand 100%, I guess. Is it like the transpiled file from Motoko or Rust, or could you explain a little bit more?
Okay, so let's go into the .dfx folder. So this folder is a hidden folder you don't necessarily need to look into, but let's look into local. So this is my replica and the canisters. So for the Motoko canister, I have this file, .data. So .data is the Candid extension again. And here you have the description of the interface. So as you can see, okay, I hate this, sorry. As you can see, it's telling me the greet function takes a parameter of type text and returns another text, which is exactly what I have with Motoko. But you can notice as well that the type is not exactly the same because here it's a text with a capital T, and here it's just a text like without the capital T. So maybe it's a bit confusing, but Motoko and Candid types are not exactly the same. Basically, each language has its own representation of like what is a text, what is a number. Each language has its own way to describe types and variables. And we need a way into the Motoko code to access the answer from, for example, a Rust canister. And we do that using Candid, which is used to describe the interface, used to describe the types, and Candid types are really close to Motoko types, but it's not exactly the same. There will be a lecture on Candid with the from the Definitive Foundation with people that actually work on Candid and created it. So keep updated on that, stay updated on that, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, Billy Tran. Can you unmute yourself?
I think he's unmuted. I know.
Yeah, no, he's still muted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have a question. Can we have more than one actor in a multiple file? Is my first question.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Can we have one more actor in a multiple file? Because I read in the document and I see that in each file of Motoko we have an actor and
oh, sorry. Okay, can you have
okay.
multiple actors inside
In
one Motoko file?
one Motoko file?
No, no. You cannot.
No.
You need one actor. Okay. If you want to create another canister, another actor, you need another Motoko file.
Okay,
but the other way around is not true. You can have multiple Motoko files for one actor, and that's called a module. So for example, if I do that, I can import something called text with this syntax, and that's basically a Motoko file that is from the base library that was created by the foundation. And inside this Motoko file, I have functions that are accessible inside the Discord. So for example, I have like I have text.equal, for example, that would compare to type to name, sorry. Name, this function is a function from the text module. So to answer your question, one Motoko file means like you need at least one Motoko file to create an actor. You cannot like do that. Yeah, you cannot do that.
So I have my own question off of that. So every .motoko file, does that turn into a canister, or is it?
No. So
that's
okay. That's what I was trying to explain. Okay. So you can do that as well. Instead of actor, you can write module, and here you can make some function available. So for example, public function grid. Okay. So let me do it. I will do it. Let's create a separate Motoko file. I will call it grid.mo, and it's not an actor, it's a module. And inside this module, there is a function. I need to make the function public if I want to call it from outside of this module. Public function grid. No, maybe not grid, maybe hello. It takes no arguments and it returns the text, which is hello Motoko Bootcamp. Okay. And then, so here you notice the difference with before with the async keyword. You don't need the async keyword because it's not an actor, it's only a module. And this module will be used inside this file. So I can import the grid module from, I just need to write like grid. You don't need to add the .mo extension. Motoko already know that it will import another Motoko file. And here I can declare my actor and I can do that. So public function grid takes a name and doesn't take a name, return async text. And I can use grid.hello here. So here I'm using the grid module and I'm calling the hello function, which is here. And yeah, that's it. So basically you can, if you have like a huge project, you're going to have multiple Motoko files at the beginning that you need to import, but you have one main file, usually called main.mo, which is like the actor, and that's what the dfx.json file is using. So here, source Motoko main, that's like the final file, the one with the interface, and that's what is accessible from the outside on the internet computer.
Super helpful. Awesome.
Okay, thank you. So the second question, if now I want to clone a Candice interface from an actor, how can I do it?
So you can do it several different ways. You can do it using dfx. So I've done it using this command, dfx canister call Motoko. So you need to specify the name of the canister and the function you're trying to call and the argument. And here you're using, in fact, a candid. So yeah, it's not really clear here, but basically you're not, this variable is not of type text in Motoko. It's of type text from the candid specification. Then you can also use, okay. So let me try to go to ic.rocks. Okay, so IC.rocks is a website that is not really working right now because, let me zoom a bit. Yeah, it has some issues right now, but you can do something which is, okay. Sorry for all of that. I wasn't supposed to show you all of that today. So here I have like a live project on the internet computer, and I have this file which is called canister IDs. And here you can see the IDs of my canisters. If I go to ic.rocks and I put the canister ID, I can see the candid interface. So I have the function add admin, add user, airdrop, audit, balance. All those functions are accessible, and that's the candid interface. It's being generated by ic.rocks for me, and yeah, that's basically here. It's candid. You know, you have all the functions, all the public function, and the parameters. Everything is here. Is it? Does it answer your question about candid?
Yes, it answered my question. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I would say to sum up what I've said, to access a public function of a canister, you can do it through DFX, you can do it through ICRocks, you can do it through a front end. So for example, if you're using Entrepot and you're buying an NFT, you are using the web page Entrepot, and this web page, once you click the, for example, the buy button, it will call a method on the canister that holds the NFT to basically make a transfer. You can also use another canister. From another canister, you can talk to another canister. And I think that's all. Yeah, I think that's all.
Awesome. All right, Robbie, I've allowed you to talk. You can unmute.
Hi. So I had a question about starting a local replica. I haven't been able to start one without using DFX Start emulator. I've always had an issue just using DFX Start.
Are you using Windows?
Yes.
Are you using Windows subsystem for Linux 1?
No, Linux 2.
2, okay. Which version of DFX are you using?
The latest, I think it's 0.9.
Okay. Okay, so post your error message, post a screenshot on the GitHub. I will try to answer I don't know the answer to that question. Yeah, put it on GitHub and ask for help. I will try to help.
All right, Olumide Bello.
Yeah, thanks again for very good stuff. I just want to ask for, it's not really a question, it's just a request. I can see here that you're using some what do you call it, extensions for your VS Code that helps you tell some text, some variables from function and stuff. I mean, some colorful stuff. I don't know if you can give us like links to those extensions you can also install.
Oh yeah.
If there's something that helps you do like some auto import and all that stuff, so please highlight for us.
Yeah, I think I will put a message maybe on the GitHub or on Discord with all extensions that I recommend for beginner. But basically, there is one extension which is really easy to find and you can install. It's the Motoko extension. So from the Definitive Foundation, you just need to go into extension and it's the first one. I think it's the only one with Motoko. Oh no, there are others.
Yeah, there's one more. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know this one. Yeah, the first one you can install it, and there are others like to make things pretty and have recommendations. I will provide some recommendation.
All right, thanks. Yeah, that's fun.
All right, Crypto Kaihu. You have permission to talk. Please unmute.
Okay, one of my questions just got answered. I guess I'll just ask, in terms of, you showed us is it called Candid? And how it translates basically between the Motoko and Rust. Would it be adding support for other languages down the line?
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if that's already the case. I think it's only for Rust and Motoko for the moment. So yeah, another advantage of Motoko is that Motoko was basically developed with Candid, like by the same people, I would say. So when you're using Motoko, when you compile your code, the Candid interface is automatically generated for you. That's not the case for all other languages. And I don't know I know that with Rust, you need to do some like manual, you need to tweak a bit just to have the interface, but it's possible and I think it's easy. I don't know what is the case with other languages. You can develop on the internet computer using basically any language that compiles to WebAssembly. I know that you can do it with JavaScript. I think there is a possibility with C as well. I know someone is working on the Go, the Go language as well. but I'm not sure on the state of all those languages. Like, I'm not sure if you have the content interface generated for you. But yeah, I hope it answers the question.
Yep, that did. Thank you very much.
All right, we're getting pretty close to the end here. We have another meeting that's going to start quickly after this. So there's going to be only a couple questions left, 8 minutes. Sita Marasani.
Yes. Hello. First of all, I would like to thank you for this bootcamp and the lecture. And then I wonder if my question might be suitable now, but I'll have enough courage to ask the question. Actually, right now my concern is how to deploy my local canister on the internet computer, but I don't know my principal ID, how is going to be considered. Is it going to be a custodian? Because sometimes I get error code 4, which says only a controller or custodian can call method or something like that.
So yeah, this error is pretty common. Please make a topic on GitHub. I will answer as well on the discussion. You create a topic and explain your issue. But yeah, just if other people run into this issue, it's caused by a recent change in the FX. I've explained everything in the forum about that. So yeah, just put it on GitHub and I will answer. There is a fix.
All right, Hars Nambiar.
Yeah, guys. So just one question. Suppose we just want to complete the challenge. So is there a way to, instead of deploying the entire project, just compile one file which contains the functions to, let's say, edit a particular array as per the challenge or whatever?
Yeah. Okay. So just to solve the challenges, you don't need to deploy on the internet computer. You can do it if you want, of course, but we don't require you to do that. The workflow that I would recommend is just creating like a Motoko file. And here you can put some comments. So for those of you that don't know, you can use this syntax to make comments, like you can write some text here. So you do that, you do challenge 1, and then you create your first function. You do like a hard, I don't know, like up. And then you do challenge 2, and so on. That's the workflow I recommend. And once this file is completed, you can push that on GitHub. But you don't need to like deploy the actor on the internet computer, everything, you know. It's just to do the challenges.
Okay, guys, thanks.
All right, Dan Kimball.
Yes, I'd like to understand whether the Dfinity ecosystem has provided some kind of wrappers for installing, say, existing code into the canister environment, so that we can kind of get started by working within in the Dfinity ecosystem, but yet still kind of importing existing code.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I've shown. So you can import directly module from the base library. So I've imported, for example, the module text. You can import the module nat for numbers, like positive numbers. You can import, like all the modules are available online, not online, but you can, sorry. If you go to Dfinity documentation, it's Motoko base library. It's here. Maybe I can zoom to show you the Motoko base library, and all those modules are available. So, for example, array, you can see all the functions that are available. So array equal, array append, array sort. So yeah, for example, I would do something like that. If I need to import this function, I would import array from the base library. And then I would just use this function like that. So array dot, for example, array dot append, I would use the function, you know, like that.
Right.
But,
So you're talking there about basically importing libraries and code fragments that are available for use within the Motoko library, Motoko language, you know, kind of the foundation of the Motoko language. I guess my question was a broader one into how can we like take an existing, say, web page and launch it in the internet computer environment? Is there some kind of wrapper that can allow us to kind of package some existing, say, web page code that would allow us to export that and or import that into the Motoko or into the Dfinity ecosystem environment in order to run it?
So if your question is, can I go to like a website on the internet computer and just take the code and deploy it again? No, you cannot do that. You can do that, but you need to access to the repo, like for example the repository of the website. Then you need to download the code and you can install it again. If you want, so sorry the question. I'm not sure because you were talking about a website. So a website would be like an HTML page with some JavaScript and everything. You can totally import that, but it's front-end world, I would say. So everything those resources are on the internet. If you're talking about Motoko specifically, there are several ways to import code from other projects.
Yes, that's what I'm interested in. Yeah.
Okay, so the easiest way I would say would just be to like go to a repo, for example. I can show you one which is really good. It's the GitHub of Aviat Labs, which is working on like making some nice module for Motoko. Let's say you have like the sorted data structure. So this module, I can just go here, like take this one, just download the Motoko file and put it inside my Motoko folder so I can import it like I've done previously. That's like the quick and dirty way. There is also what's called a package manager in Motoko, which is called Vessel. And there will be a separate lecture on Vessel, like how to install Vessel, how to import packages. Yeah, this topic will be covered, but I don't have the time to show you right now, like how to do it. But that's how you would do it. If you just want to get ready and do it right now, you can also just like copy and paste the code. That's really dirty, but if you just need one file, that's okay.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for your time. And thank you, Sad. That was an awesome lecture.
Yeah,
I hope to see.
I hope it was not too dirty because I had some issues with the replica. Sorry for that, guys.
No, honestly, watching you troubleshoot that was super useful in and of itself. So thanks everybody for taking the time. We're gonna do some prep, and in 30 minutes we have another lecture coming up for you. So see you all in a bit.
I see you. Thank you.